Imagine a world of bronze and gold, of towering ziggurats and sun-kissed palaces, of vast empires, Egypt, the Hittites, Mycenaean Greece, Assyria, Babylon, interconnected by intricate webs of trade, diplomacy, and shared knowledge. Kings exchanged lavish gifts, treaties were signed, and chariots thundered across the landscape, forging a sophisticated global order. This was the Late Bronze Age, a glittering epoch stretching across the Mediterranean and Near East, a testament to human ingenuity and ambition. Then, around 1200 BC, in the blink of a historical eye, it all vanished. The final battles of the Neanderthals weren't fought in grand armies under waving banners. They were waged in frozen river valleys, in silent forests stripped bare by Ice Age winds, in caves where soot from long-dead fires stained the ceilings like the ghosts of memory. Perhaps they weren't wars as we understand them, but brutal raids, desperate ambushes, silent struggles between tribal bands fighting not for glory, but for survival itself. They died not in thunder, but in whispers. Yet, in those whispers lies a story of extinction, a fractured brotherhood, rival Neanderthal clans potentially tearing each other apart when cooperation might have saved them. Cities burned, trade routes fell silent, writing systems vanished, empires crumbled into dust. It wasn't just one civilization, it was a domino effect across an entire interconnected world. This was the Bronze Age collapse, a cataclysm so profound that it ushered in a dark age lasting centuries, an epoch from which much of history was lost, quite literally, to ashes. For generations, historians pointed to a single enigmatic culprit, the Sea Peoples. Mysterious invaders sweeping in from the Mediterranean, laying waste to everything in their path. A convenient, compelling villain, but new evidence unearthed from forgotten archives and layers of shattered cities hints at something far more complex, something far more unsettling. The Bronze Age didn't just fall, it broke. And perhaps it broke itself. To understand the collapse, we must first understand the system. The Bronze Age world was, in many ways, an early form of globalization. Tin from Afghanistan met copper from Cyprus to create bronze. Egyptian gold flowed to the Aegean. Babylon exchanged grain for timber from Lebanon. This vast network, a marvel of ancient logistics, made their empires powerful and prosperous, but it also made them incredibly fragile. Think of it like this: the entire system was built on a few critical pillars: specialized production. Highly skilled artisans in specific regions produced crucial goods. If one region was disrupted, the entire chain faltered. Centralized control. Power, wealth, and decision-making were concentrated in the hands of a few elites. This created rigid social structures, potentially leaving vast populations vulnerable and disaffected. Complex trade routes. The arteries of their world were long and vulnerable. Pirate raids, internal unrest, or even just a bad harvest in one region could send ripples of economic distress throughout the entire system. This interconnectedness, once their greatest strength, became their fatal weakness. Now imagine adding external pressures to this already delicate balance. Climate change. Recent studies suggest prolonged, severe droughts ravaged the eastern Mediterranean during this period. For agrarian societies, this meant crop failures, starvation, and mass displacement. People were forced to move, desperate for resources. Earthquakes. The region is seismically active. A series of major earthquakes could have toppled palaces, disrupted infrastructure, and created widespread chaos. These factors didn't just cause destruction, they triggered a cascade. As crops failed, people starved. As earthquakes struck, infrastructure crumbled. As resources dwindled, internal tensions flared. Peasants, already at the bottom of a rigid social hierarchy, might have revolted. Armies, used to fighting external foes, were now needed to suppress their own starving populations. And then, the Sea Peoples. They were not a unified invading force, but likely a disparate collection of desperate migrants, raiders, and refugees from collapsing systems themselves. They were the final brutal blow delivered to already tottering empires. It wasn't a powerful, well-organized invasion that brought down the Bronze Age. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. The very systems that had allowed these civilizations to flourish, their global trade, their specialized production, their rigid hierarchies, were precisely what made them unable to adapt when crisis struck. The archaeological record paints a grim picture. Cities like Ugarit, Hattusa, and Mycenae show signs of sudden, widespread destruction, often by fire, with clear evidence of abandonment. Trade goods stop appearing. Complex bureaucratic records abruptly cease. It's not just a decay,